Fish oil went from heart health hero to AFib villain so fast, it gave the internet whiplash. And the result is chaos. One person swears omega-3s saved their labs, another says it's snake oil, and somebody's uncle is convinced salmon causes arrhythmias. Here's the truth we can actually use. Omega-3s can be helpful, and the dose and context decide whether they're a win or a wash. So in this episode, we're going to give you clear rules. Who benefits, what dose ranges actually do, how to buy quality, and how to think about the AFib headlines without panic. Because omega-3 isn't one thing. Fish oil, on the front label, is a vibe. The back label, EPA and DHA, is the truth. And if we get this right, we keep the benefits and avoid the collateral damage. Let's build the simplest omega-3 playbook for 2026. First, a quick translation. There are three omega-3s people talk about: ALA, EPA, and DHA. ALA is in flax, chia, walnuts, and some plant oils. It's healthy, but the conversion from ALA into EPA and DHA is limited, so we shouldn't treat flax like it's salmon in seed form. EPA and DHA are the long-chain omega-3s found in fatty fish and algae. These are the ones most supplements are trying to deliver, and they're the ones studied for triglycerides and cardiovascular outcomes. Now here's the first reason people get confused. Most bottles say something like 1000 milligrams fish oil, and that sounds impressive. But fish oil is not the dose. EPA plus DHA is the dose. A typical 1000 milligrams fish oil capsule might only contain 300 to 600 milligrams of combined EPA and DHA. So if we're chasing triglyceride-lowering results, one capsule a day is often a rounding error. Rule number 1: food first, pills second. For most healthy people, omega-3 isn't a prescription. It's a nutrition gap. If we eat fatty fish twice per week, we usually cover the basics without turning our supplement cabinet into a chemistry set. Salmon, sardines, trout, herring, and mackerel are the usual all-stars. And food brings more than omega-3s. We get protein, selenium, iodine in some seafood, and a whole food matrix that doesn't come in a gel cap. If we don't eat fish, that's where a modest supplement can make sense. Algae oil is the clean option for people who avoid fish, and it delivers DHA and often some EPA. Now, rule number 2: dose decides the job. There are basically two omega-3 worlds, and mixing them up causes 90% of the argument. World 1 is gap filling. This is the "we don't eat much fish, so we use a modest dose" world. Think roughly 250 to 500 milligrams per day of combined EPA and DHA as a practical range for many people who want coverage, not therapy. Not a magic number, just a sensible, make up for low fish range. World 2 is triglyceride therapy. This is where omega-3 is actually doing a specific job, and it's dose dependent. For meaningful triglyceride lowering, studies and clinical guidance typically talk about 2 to 4 grams per day of EPA and DHA, often as prescription products. That's not 2 to 4 capsules of fish oil. That's 2 to 4 grams of EPA plus DHA. This is where we need to be adults about the label. If a capsule has 500 milligrams EPA plus DHA, you'd need 4 to 8 capsules to hit the therapeutic range. That's why prescription versions exist. So if our main goal is triglycerides, we shouldn't pretend a random low-dose supplement is the same tool as high-dose therapy. Different world. Now let's address the big headline conflict. If omega-3 lowers triglycerides, why didn't every omega-3 trial reduce heart attacks? Because outcomes depend on the population, the formulation, the background therapy, and the dose. Reduce IT is the famous one. It used a purified EPA-only prescription product in high-risk people already on statins with elevated triglycerides. It reduced cardiovascular events. Strength used a high-dose mixed EPA plus DHA formulation in a high-risk population and did not show the same event reduction. Then there are broader, lower-dose trials like Ascend and Vital that didn't produce the same dramatic heart event reduction story in general prevention settings. So the takeaway isn't omega-3 works or omega-3 doesn't work. The takeaway is omega-3 is not one thing, and outcomes are not guaranteed just because triglycerides move. Here's the clean way to say it. Omega-3 can be a triglyceride tool. It can be a nutrition gap tool. It may support inflammation resolution biology. But it is not a universal heart pill you take and then ignore blood pressure, ApoB, sleep, training, and food quality like they're optional side quests. Now let's tackle the AFib confusion, because this is where people either overreact or ignore it. In some high-dose omega-3 outcome trials, there was a signal of increased atrial fibrillation or atrial flutter events. REDUCE-IT showed more AFib, flutter hospitalizations in the treatment group. Meta-analyses and reviews have raised concern that higher-dose omega-3 supplementation may increase AFib risk in some populations, especially higher-risk, older, or already cardiac patients. But here's the part the internet skips. Dietary fish intake is not the same risk conversation as pharmaceutical dose supplementation. Food dose omega-3 is a lower dose, slower delivery, and different context. Some observational evidence even suggests dietary omega-3 intake may be associated with lower AFib risk, while high-dose supplements show a dose-dependent increase in some analyses. So the responsible stance is not fear salmon. The responsible stance is respect the high-dose signal and match the tool to the person. Here's our rule for AFib nuance. For general wellness, fish first or modest EPA, DHA is the conservative lane. For high-dose omega-3 therapy, especially if we have a history of AFib, frequent palpitations, structural heart disease, or we're older and higher risk, we use clinician guidance. And we don't ignore new rhythm symptoms. If we start high-dose omega-3 and suddenly feel fluttering, racing, or irregular beats, that's not a push through it moment. That's a pause and get checked moment. Now let's talk inflammation, because omega-3 gets marketed like a fire extinguisher for every problem. Omega-3s are involved in inflammation resolution pathways. The body uses them to build specialized mediators that help turn down inflammation after it's done its job. That's real biology, but it's not the same thing as saying a capsule cancels out ultra-processed food, alcohol, poor sleep, and no movement. So we can say this honestly, omega-3s may support the body's ability to resolve inflammation. But they are not permission to live like a raccoon and expect your CRP to behave. Now the buying rules, because quality is where a lot of people waste money. Rule number 3. Buy the back label and the testing, not the marketing. We want to look for the EPA and DHA amount per serving. We want third-party testing when possible, programs like IFOS, USP, NSF, or other reputable verification. And we want to avoid the rancid mystery bottle, strong fishy odor, burps that taste like regret, or poor storage and heat exposure are not badges of honor. Oxidation matters because oxidized oil is the opposite of what we're trying to do for longevity. We want the clean product, properly stored. Practical storage rule: keep it cool, keep it sealed, and don't leave it in a hot car like it's sunscreen. Now timing, because we can make this easier on our stomach and more effective. Omega-3 is fat soluble. Taking it with a meal, especially one that contains some fat, usually improves tolerance and likely absorption. It also reduces fishy burps. So the easiest rule is, take it with our largest meal, not on an empty stomach with black coffee and chaos. If we're using higher doses, splitting it between meals can also help tolerance. Again, this is about making the habit sustainable. Now the caution list, because we're not here to create supplement hero stories that ignore real-life risk. We should talk with a clinician before higher dose omega-3 if we use anticoagulants or antiplatelet medications, have a bleeding disorder, have upcoming surgery, have a fish, shellfish allergy, or have AFib history. And if triglycerides are very high, especially in the 500 mg per deciliter range or above, that's not a casual supplement situation. That's a medical management situation, because pancreatitis risk becomes part of the conversation. Now let's build the simple decision tree you can actually use. Step 1. What's our goal? If our goal is general longevity coverage, we start with fish twice per week. If we won't do fish, we consider modest EPA plus DHA or algae oil. If our goal is lower high triglycerides, we recognize that meaningful lowering typically lives in the 2 to 4 grams per day territory, often best done with clinician guidance and prescription products. Step 2. What's our rhythm risk? If we have AFib history, frequent palpitations, or we're already high risk, we don't freestyle high-dose omega-3. We get guidance and we monitor symptoms. If we're a low-risk person using food or modest doses, we don't need to catastrophize the AFib headlines. We just need to be informed. Step 3. Are we buying quality? We read EPA plus DHA, not fish oil. We prefer third-party tested products. We store it correctly. We take it with meals. And if we can't commit to quality, we're better off committing to sardines and salmon instead. Now let's land the verdict. Omega-3s are not magic heart pills, but they're not useless either. They are a nutrition gap tool for people who don't eat fish. They are a real triglyceride tool at the right dose, and they may support inflammation resolution biology as part of a bigger lifestyle foundation. The confusion comes from treating all omega-3 doses like they're the same. Salmon twice per week is not the same thing as 4 grams of concentrated oil per day. So here are the 4 rules we want you to remember. Rule 1. Food first. 2 fatty fish meals per week is the simplest longevity move. Rule 2. Dose decides the job. Modest doses fill gaps. High doses treat triglycerides. Rule 3. EPA-only prescription therapy is not interchangeable with random mixed fish oil. Trials differ for a reason. Rule 4. Respect the AFib signal at higher doses. Don't fear fish, but don't ignore rhythm symptoms with high-dose supplementation. If this episode helped, hit like and subscribe. Check the description for our Longevity Compass Amazon KDP book and the tools we mentioned today. And drop a comment with your omega-3 setup: fish first, algae, or capsules. We'll help you sanity check the label, because the front of the bottle is marketing, and the back of the bottle is reality.